Hello and welcome to the Knit by Day podcast episode 2. Welcome if you've never been here. Welcome back if you have watched our one and only other episode. For those of you who don't know me personally, my name's Deja. I am primarily here as a knitter, and I live in Wilmington, North Carolina with my partner and my dog, who will likely make an appearance. At the end of this episode, I am going to do a one and only about me little segment where I just kind of fill everyone in on who I am, what I do for a living, what my interests are aside from knitting. There are very few aside from knitting, to be honest, but I will fill you in there. And then I will also answer some of the questions you guys left me on my Instagram story. Speaking of which, if you care to follow me on Instagram, the tag is Knit by Day. And then if you want to follow me on Ravelry, where I am not very active at all, you can follow me at Days, D-A-Y-S, Jam. So D-A-Y-S-J-A-M. I made that overly complicated, didn't I? I was planning to do show notes for this, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do that, because I think it makes it more work, more of a job. So if I'm a little bit all over the place, then that will just be kind of very on brand with me, because I fly by the seat of my pants in almost everything I do. So it'll be okay. You came here, not me. You choose this. So I guess without further ado, let's get started with the thing you came here for, yeah? I do not have any finished objects for you this week. I thought for sure that I was going to be able to finish my Pinguino. I thought once I got to the border that I was going to have about 20 minutes of work left. I thought it was going to be like a quick I-board bind off and I'm done. But Stephen had other plans, didn't you, Stephen? For those of you who don't know, the Penguono is a pattern by Stephen West. So if you didn't know that, I'm sure you're wondering why the heck I'm blaming some random guy named Stephen for my mishaps. That's why. So I will show you what I have. And then next week, hopefully, if Stephen doesn't throw any more wrenches in the pattern, then I will, then I'll have a finished object for you. I'm totally ragging on Stephen, but it is not his fault. I purposely don't read ahead in patterns because I really like to be surprised. So this was my surprise, and I actually am totally okay with having more to do with this cardigan because I have loved every step of it. Like I talked about last week, it's been so much fun for me. So here we are. Show you back first because that's how you'll get the most, how you'll see the most. Went ahead and put the bottom edge on a longer cable so that you could kind of see it better. All right. So we got our sleeves here. I don't know if I like the pop of orange or not, but I'm not going to redo it. So, yeah. I do really like the teal border there. Way more than I thought I would. Did you guys notice? I bet you didn't. That this Pinguino really doesn't have that many ends to weave in. That is because I did them all last week, at least up to the point that I could. And I did that for you lovely people so that you could actually really appreciate what this looks like and not just see a jumbled mess of yarn. So you're welcome. Honestly, future me is going to thank myself. Kind of did it for me. Whew. I'm going to have to find a better system for arranging my works in progress next time because I just had to stop and spend the last 5 minutes untangling yarn. I sort of just threw all my whips in a pile and the yarn did what yarn does and just tangled all over itself. So I'm going to have to find a better way to keep them separated for next time. But what we have next is This is a project that I cast on right after right after filming the podcast last week, and it is the Flax Sweater by Tin Can Knits. Not much to show yet, but it is going to be in the 1-year-old size. One-year-old size. I don't know how to say that properly, but like it's going to be in the size fit for a 1-year-old. I have a new niece that was born in May that unfortunately I haven't been able to meet yet because of COVID and all this scariness that happens around that. So we're waiting until things kind of die down there before anyone can really meet her. So in the absence of meeting her, I have been knitting her all the baby things and sending them their way. So I'm knitting this one in the 1-year-old size so that hopefully next year they can get some good use out of this. Honestly, babies grow so fast, and I don't know that this would be far off from fitting her in a couple of months. So we'll see. The yarn I'm using is by Souvenir yarn. It's DK weight Super Wash Merino in the colorway Amalfi Coast. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. This is her time. I bought this yarn when I was in Cleveland, I think. And if I'm correct, I think I bought it while I was there because she was local to Cleveland. But I don't want to say that for sure. Hopefully I'm correct on that and not just spreading false rumors about Souvenir yarns. I really love this colorway. I think it's great for a little to have a sweater. It's all pastel and light gray and muted colors. So the next thing we have is one of the projects that I had forgotten about, and I had forgotten about it because honestly I haven't been working on it, but I'm gonna try to pick it back up this week. And this is the I'm dropping stitches like crazy. Where did my stopper go? Oh, this is tragic. Oh, we're gonna have to pause. God, what a mess. We're back on track now. So my yarn just went rolling across the floor. We are back on track now. This is the My Little Black Cardigan by a designer whose name is escaping me because I refuse to write show notes. So I will pop it on the screen, and then of course it will always be linked in the show notes below this video. So fear not. The pattern is just a super simple stockinette pattern with a faux side seam. And it is super fun to knit, so I don't know why I haven't picked it up in the last couple of weeks. It probably has something to do with the fact that I can't stay monogamous to save my life when knitting, not with my relationships. But we are knitting this out of Malabrigo in their Frank Ochre. And this is actually a lace weight yarn, so I'm just holding it double. I have several different skeins of this that I picked up from my Instagram friend, Bailey's D-Stash. I will pop her Instagram name in here, but it is PP Peony's D-Stash, I believe. And she takes all of my money. So follow her with caution because she will likely take yours as well. But I think it's really cool that people are doing D-stashes with yarn that they haven't been using or really just haven't found the right project for, because it allows others to really experience and enjoy that yarn. And a lot of the times it's at a discounted rate. So that's swell. Oh, this is the Weekender sweater by Andrea Mowry. See. It's just reverse stockinette with this interesting little detail, slip stitch detail going down the front and the back of it. I don't know if the yarn really enables you to see that, but it's there, I promise. The reason I forgot to mention this one is because it's really living in my tote that I like to carry around with me to places like coffee shops and the beach. It lives in there because it's a super simple pattern for me to work on while I'm watching the waves and the surfers, or chatting with a friend while we're getting coffee. Yeah, this is cool because you knit it inside out and it really isn't a lot of work, but it looks phenomenal. You don't have to purl the whole time, but you still achieve the really cool look with it. This is knit out of yarn that I picked up in Asheville at a little yarn shop that I forget the name of, but it is Classic Elite Yarns in Juna. The base is Juna. The color is 7913. Could have come up with something more creative than that. Come on, Cascade. It is super scrumptious. It is. Doesn't say what it is, but it feels like alpaca. Oh, yep. 80% merino, 20% superfine alpaca. And it is scrumptious, as you can imagine. So I'm really excited to have this weekender in this yarn. I am fearful that this is going to be a little bit larger than I intended, but I'm not ripping back. So it's just going to have to be large. If I'm swimming in it, I'm swimming in it. I feel like I'm shrugging a lot in this video. It's kind of a, well, whatever video, isn't it? For our next segment, we have stash acquisitions. So I just, project or two ago, mentioned Bailey on Instagram, PPPonies D-Stash. So in addition to the yarn that I was knitting my little Lite cardigan out of, I also got recently this skein of Lambstring yarn. It's coming out on screen a little bit more muted than it actually is. The colors are a bit deeper than that, but it is gorgeous with its purple and even brown specks in there. Bluish hues, pinks. Again, this is a D-Stash, so I'm not entirely sure if this is something that Lambstring even still has, but check her out and give it a shot because it is a gorgeous yarn. I think this will eventually go into a shawl, or maybe some socks, or who knows, honestly. I bought this yarn with no true intention behind it, which is often how I buy yarn, so it is what it is. Secondly, I got this gorgeous skein, very October, I think. Orange and brown and some deep purples, it looks like. Oh, even blue. Ooh. Lots going on in this one, which I love yarn that just has a ton of color saturated into it, and you kind of get random pops of color that you didn't know existed as you start to knit. That's really cool. This is Long Dog Yarn. Did I say that already? I hope I did. Long Dog Yarn and her Bounce Sock, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, which most sock yarn is, in Queen Fraser. That's what that sounds like. I really like Long Dog. All her yarn is super soft, and she does a phenomenal job at dyeing. I think I mentioned some of her yarn on the last part. I did mention some of her. My mom started calling me and totally knocked me off video, so I don't know where the heck I was, but I think I was just finishing up talking about this skein. This I actually bought with some intention behind it. I want to knit some textured socks, and I was looking on Ravelry briefly before this, and I came across Coffee Talk socks, which are by Tracy Miller, which someone corrects me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's Tracy from Grocery Girls Knit, their podcast, which is cool. I liked that pattern a lot. I love the texture in it. So that's probably what these will become If not, they will become some other sock, and I'll knit Tracy's pattern at another time. I will probably cast these on as soon as my Pinguino is done. So fingers crossed. It is currently utilizing my typical sock needles, which are 1.5 US size. I do that, and then I do 56 stitches. And after years of experimentation of what was going to fit my foot the best, that's the one. So I'm not changing anything about it. I think that because these scream Halloween to me and fall and all the loveliness that is October, I'm going to enter these into the I Heart Knitting Podcast's KAL. She's currently doing a Halloweeny KAL, and I'm really excited about it, so I'm going to enter these. By the way, I Heart Knitting is a new podcast that you guys should check out. She is on episode 3 of her podcast, and we love to support new podcasters because that is me. It seems like we all just kind of got brave during this pandemic, huh? Without further ado, and perhaps the reason you've watched this long, we have our giveaway winner. So I added up all your entries and just went to a random number generator and picked the winner that way. The winner was Mom26XX. I tried to get your name, but YouTube wouldn't give me any other information on you. I'm sorry. You're the winner of our traveling yard schemes. And she had commented about what a lovely hat those two skeins would make together, so I'm excited to see if that's what she decides to do with them. If you would find a way to get in contact with me, if not, I'll find a way to reach out to you. I think I can just message you on YouTube, which may be the easiest way. Get your address and we'll go from there. So I'm going to do a brief about me, and then I'm going to go ahead and answer your questions that you had asked me on Instagram. So, a little bit about me. I believe I mentioned in the beginning, excuse the camera. I believe I mentioned in the beginning that I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina. Well, that's where I reside currently. Originally, I am from the New Orleans, Louisiana area, and that's where my family mostly resides, actually in a town outside of New Orleans, about an hour away in Pass Christian, Mississippi. If you know where that is, then how do you know where that is? Tell me. But I have plans to go down there next month and see my grandfather, who is my favorite person in the world. And I imagine we'll do some gambling while we're there, because that's what we do these days. We sit at the slot machines and have a grand old time with it. I have been in Wilmington for the last 7 years, I think. So I came here originally to attend school at UNC Wilmington, so University of North Carolina, Wilmington. I'm looking out my window because I am actually like right at the edge of campus. That's where I live. But anyway, I originally went to UNCW, and that's why I moved to Wilmington. I got my bachelor's. I got 2 bachelors technically in psychology and criminal justice. And then when I graduated UNCW, I decided I don't really want to get a PhD. I want to honestly get out, get a big girl job, and go do my thing right now. And I found that the easiest way to do everything that I wanted to do, the way to do that was to get a master's in social work. And so I went to UNCW again for another 2 years and got my master's in social work, which I loved every second of. I had an incredible cohort of people. While getting my MSW, I got an internship with a company whose name I won't mention because I haven't told them I'm doing this, so I don't want to mention their name and associate them with this. Essentially, they're an aftercare program for young men in recovery. And so I did that internship, really, really fell in love with the company, fell in love with the team there, as well as that population. And I have been there now for 3 years, and I have no plans of going anywhere. So I am a full-time addiction specialist at this company. And what that means is I spend my day interacting with guys who are in the process of gaining some independence after a struggle with addiction and kind of getting their footing here in Wilmington. And it's been incredible. My clients range from ages 18 to 30-ish, and they are all guys. So that has been a challenge, and it's been honestly the best thing I could have ever guessed for myself. So that's what I do for work. And then at home, as I mentioned before, I live with my partner and my dog Weston. I thought he was going to make an appearance today, and he just totally ignored me. He's in the bedroom sleeping. But for those of you who don't know anything about Wilmington, it's a beach town, so we spend a good amount of time at the beach. Christian surfs, and I watch him surf while I knit and usually read. Play a ton of PlayStation, more than I should, and I read a lot of books. That's all I have to share about myself at the moment. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. I will answer you. I don't think there's a question I won't answer, so might have to private message you on some of them, but yeah. Oh, Instagram questions. I almost forgot. So I got a couple of questions on Instagram, not a ton. You guys are super interactive in like the comment section of my posts, but not so much my stories. So we only have a few Instagram questions. If you come up with more, like I said, feel free to drop them below. I will answer you. But I was asked, favorite, I'm trying to remember these off the top of my head, so if I totally butcher your question, I'm so sorry, and ask it again, I will answer it again. But I was asked my favorite weight of yarn to work with, which seems to be fingering, but I think that just has to do with what my stash is made up of and what I have acquired over the last couple of years. I honestly, when I work with DK or worsted weight yarn, I fall in love with the squishiness and how quickly that thing flies off my needles. Because if you're used to working with fingering weight yarn and then you work with a worsted weight yarn, it feels like it takes 30 seconds to knit whatever you're doing. So that's cool. I guess to fully answer that question, I don't have a preference. Next question I got from my friend Brooke, hi Brooke, was what heel turn I prefer. I do a slip, I do a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, which I believe is technically referred to as a Dutch heel. I don't necessarily prefer that so much as it's the only one I've ever tried, and I really have just been too lazy to try anything else. One that I've heard fits people really, really well, and most of the people I know rave about it, is I think they're just German short row heel, a German short row heel, which I am tempted to try. But like I said, it took me so long to figure out what socks were going to fit me that I almost don't want to mess with my formula at all. We'll see. We'll see if I get brave enough to do that. And then lastly, what my favorite thing to knit is, and that is most definitely sweaters. Sweaters of any kind, cardigans, as you guys can see, pullovers, so on and so forth. I am a sweater gal. And I think that has a little bit to do with the fact that if you are wearing a hand knit sweater, that's the thing people are more likely to notice and more likely to compliment you on. So it's probably a little bit of positive reinforcement there. But I do really, really love all my sweaters. So that's all I have for you guys this week. I think I'm going to keep this as a weekly thing for right now because I so look forward to it. But I think eventually, in order to keep it interesting and in order to actually have projects for you guys to see, it might have to switch to bi-weekly. Obviously, if it was bi-weekly, it is likely to be a longer episode, whereas weekly would just be, more frequent but shorter episodes. I hope I'm not forgetting to tell you guys anything because of my refusal to write notes. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next Sunday. record on Saturdays, post on Sunday, and we're going to keep it going that way for a little while. See you next week. Bye.